Hi everyone, so this is lesson 2. So today we're going to write expressions in equivalent forms. We're continuing the same standard, but it's going to look a little funky, so we're going to talk about the things that we already know. 3 equations, so I'm reading part A. 3 equations that all represent the same function f. So we see that there are 3 pieces here, and they're all representing the same function. So that means that they're all equal to each other. They're shown below. So if I'm looking at these equations, I know that it's a parabola because I see the x squared, right? So that makes it a parabola. I know the shape of it. I know that it's concave down because it's a negative, so that means that it's facing down. Probably looks something like this, right? And then I know a few other things, but I'm not going to worry about them right now. I'm just thinking about this graph, just like that. I know this one here is my standard form. It tells me why my y-intercept is negative 54. So I know this right here, negative 54. This one here is my factored form, and that tells me my roots, right? So where my x's are. So I know from this one that x equals 3 and x equals 9. So I know that this is 3 and this is 9. And then this one here is my vertex form, and it tells me that my vertex, the x is 6, and the y is 18. So we've done that type of problem before, so I know that my vertex, which is my maximum or minimum point, would be at 6, 18 up here. 6, 18, like that. So it says, select the equation that includes the value of f of 0 as a number that appears in the equation. So f of 0 means, remember that this is like f of x, right? That means that x is 0. So where x is 0, so if I'm thinking about my x-axis, I have x equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, etc. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. X is 0 is right here, right in the center. So where my line is, my function when it equals 0, is at negative 54. And they're asking where that number appears in the equation. So I'm looking at all of these equations. I'm going to go ahead and choose the one that has negative 54 in it. That's this one right here. That's going to be my correct answer. Right? Then in part B, it says identify what that number is. Right? So it says identify f of 0. I could put 0 into any of those equations, but I already know that it's going to give me 54, and so, or negative 54. Oops. So I'm going to get this one here, right? Each of these are different, so even if you get the first one wrong, you can still get the second one right. So that's why we want to make sure that we try for each and every one. Okay. Here it says which equation includes the minimum or maximum value of f as a number that appears. So if I'm thinking about each of these, this is in vertex form. It tells me where my vertex is. This is in factored form. I'm sorry, not factored form, it's in standard form. Right? Standard form tells me where my y-intercept is. This is in like grouped form, doesn't really tell me anything. And then this is in factored form. It tells me where my x-intercepts are. So this one says which includes the minimum or maximum. I see on this graph that there is a maximum. And so my vertex form is the only one that tells me that information. So my correct answer is A. All right. So remember that you have to remember what forms look like. So vertex form looks like this with the square and then some number over here. That's vertex form. Standard form is like ax squared plus bx plus c. And then factored form is the one that's in parentheses like that. So that's definitely something we have to know. I'm actually going to have us skip this first one. Skip the first one for here, where we have to enter the function like this. Like that's not super necessary for us right now. But I am going to have us do the second one. So I'm going to use Desmos because I know that that's going to be available to me. It says enter the x-coordinate of the vertex of the graph. So I'm going to go ahead and type in 28x squared plus 16x minus 80, right? And I want to know the vertex. I remember that the vertex is where the top is or the bottom. So I'm going to zoom out here. Let's see, zoom out. And I see the graph ends down here, so I'm going to zoom in at that section. All right, you'll be able to do this on your own computers. I'm going to click right here, and I see that they're asking me for the x-axis. So I'm looking for the x coordinate, and the x we know is always x comma y, so it would be the first one. So my x coordinate is negative 0.287 or 57. That would be my answer for that one. Right. So for this, we had to know what the vertex was. The vertex is the minimum or the maximum. Sweet. For this next one, it says enter an expression equivalent to this. So we want it to equal that. And it's going to be in the form like this. So there's going to be an a to the power of something to the power of something. So for this one, there could be a lot of answers. We need to know, like, something times something gives me negative 12. So if I'm thinking about something and something that gives me negative 12, I might think 2 and negative 6. That could be a possible answer. Or a to the power of 3 and negative 4. Or a to the power of negative 1 and 12. Any of those could work, as well as anything. We just need our numbers to multiply, because our exponents multiply when we have parentheses. Power of a power, this means multiply in. For the next one, it says enter an expression equivalent to this, but in the form a to the power of something and b to the power of something. So I have a squared, a to the 4th power, times b to the 5th power. I'm going to combine these ones inside because they're inside parentheses. That's going to add my exponents, a to the 6th power, b, still to the 5th power. That 5th power is going to distribute in to both letters, and I know that it's parentheses, that means multiply. So a to the 30th power and b to the 5th power. It's going to give me my answer there. So in this one, the first one that we did, there were many solutions. Lots of things could get you a correct answer. In this next one, there's only one correct answer. All right, so something to think about. It's okay if you can think of more than one way. That's awesome. Right? And then finally, we have this one. It says the expression defines a function that models the future population of wolves in a park after T years. So we know that this is measured in years. So if they tell me what x is after, and x is in months, right? Then my months divided by 12 tells me how many years I have. Right, so x divided by 12. So I have my 3,280. That's not changing. I can see that here. And then I see something to the power of x, which means I really have x divided by 12. Right, x divided by 12 there. And then I have that 1.15. So 1.15, I see that this isn't changing. So I'm going to kind of ignore that 3,280. I know that in order to make this not a fraction, I would take this and swing it out in front. That means that I have 12 of 115, and I still have that x out there. So I'm going to go back to Desmos, and I'm going to type 12. In order to put that little index 12 there, I'm going to go to Functions, go to Miscellaneous, and click this one here. It's going to let me put 12 and 1.15. Gives me 1.011, which tells me I have this part here is becoming 1.0117. That x sticks around, and I'm still going to bring down that 3,280, right, because it hasn't gone anywhere. I'm going to look at what could possibly be my solution, and I see B is the correct answer. You're going to find some very similar problems on lesson 2. Check it out. Let me know. Thanks, guys.